Hey there. I'm super happy you're here. You're listening to a podcast about stuff, and it's starting right now. Welcome to the Simple Midwest. What's up, everyone? My name's Luke Carmichael, and this is the Simple Midwest, episode 5. Today, we have a super special guest, someone who's very important in my life, and somebody who's probably important to a lot of other people's lives. His name is Travis Davenport.
Hey.
Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited that you're here. For those of you that don't know, if you just listen to the show randomly, or if your name's Vinny and you live in California, this, let me give you some, I know that's random, but I don't know who he is. I'll tell you in a little bit about that. This is Pastor Travis. That's what most people refer to him as, or PT.
PT.
Yes.
It's true.
Not personal training, but Pastor Travis.
No, definitely not.
So he's the pastor at the church that I work at. It's called Covenant Church. He's an insanely talented communicator, lover of people. He's a man.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. But today,
welcome, man.
Yeah, today we're going to talk. I thought I'd have him on because we have so far had my friend named Zach, who's a musician on, my wife, who's my wife on, and now a pastor. I'm trying to get everybody from all parts of life. So we're going to chat tonight about Christianity. And by the way, he's a pastor in a Christian church, if you didn't know. If you're not a Christ follower, you're probably not going to understand some of the stuff we follow that we're talking about tonight. So you might if you're interested, just keep listening.
Keep listening.
It'll be fun. And we're going to chat about that kind of stuff. And then we're also going to tell some stories maybe, and who knows? As most of you know, so far the Simple Midwest is just a simple podcast here in the Midwest.
There you go.
And we kind of just go with the flow. That's the fun part about it. It's for fun.
I like that.
So, Pastor Travis, the first thing this is a new thing that I've been wanting to do.
Yeah.
I want to ask this question to every guest.
Okay.
But I want to know, and this might be messed up because I think that you're fasting right now, but I want to know what you ate for lunch today.
What did I eat for lunch today?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can. Is that your dog?
I think it's Huey and Allie upstairs. I think she's making coffee.
Nice. I am doing a fast, but I'm doing a different type of fast. So Healthy fast and only a little bit of food. But I ate green beans.
Nice.
And a piece of chicken.
Nice.
But it's not just like normal green beans. Vanessa, my wife, she makes green beans and she puts like bacon in them, and I don't know what she does. That sounds good. They taste so amazing. And you eat them cold.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, in the summertime,
do you cook them first and then you let them get cold, or do you eat them raw?
No, I mean you cook them and then you eat them. Yeah. But we grow our own green beans because we have that gigantic garden.
Oh yeah, so if you don't, most of you if you don't know who Pastor Travis is, you live out on like a farm basically in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So a couple years ago, we decided that we wanted to get kind of out of the city, and we have 5 kids, and we meant to have 3 of them, and Asher and Moses. They're twins, very unexpected. Mm-hmm. We were not expecting to have them. And so we were like, we need to live somewhere else because we don't have enough space. Our backyard is a road. So we found a bunch of land out in the middle of nowhere with this old beat up farmhouse. We're like, we'll renovate it, And then we moved out there. Here we are like 4 years later, still trying to renovate it. But now we have all these animals. I think we have 2 pigs, 2 peacocks, 3 turkeys, 20 chickens, and a huge garden. Like, it's huge. Anyway, all the way to say
it's a beautiful house. I love it.
We grow green beans. Not exclusively.
Yeah. You're not a green bean farmer?
Not a green bean farmer.
That's not what I heard.
Things too. Yeah. We grow greens, beans, potatoes, tomatoes.
Oh my gosh. You were just singing this yesterday.
I sang it with my kids, and now they won't stop singing it all the time.
That's amazing.
No, it created monsters.
And you have like peacocks, right?
Yeah,
and chickens and pigs.
Sergeant and Pepper are the 2 peacocks.
That's awesome.
The pigs. Here's the story about the pigs.
Okay.
Sorry, I just totally hijacked your podcast.
No, this is why I want you on here. Let's talk about farm animals.
All right, so our cat, we had a cat, And I hate cats. Just
Yeah, same.
I don't
I'm
like
on
them.
team no cats.
No, Satan made cats.
Yeah.
And anyway, it died. And so my daughter Estella, who is 9, she loved that cat, and so she was like, we have to get another pet. And I was like, I told Vanessa, I was like, I don't want to get another cat. I don't want another cat. And I was like, is there anything else that you want? And Stella was like, I'd love to have a baby pig. And I was like, what? Well, then I came across this guy who was selling a pot-belly pig. And it's supposed to be like this big and only grow this big. And they're like, oh, you keep it in the house and all this kind of stuff. We're like, okay. So I went and bought one, and Stella like fell in love and named her Peanut. And it didn't stop growing. So now it's the size of this table. And then, so now it's not in our house. Now it's outside. And so I had to build this pen for it. Well, then Estella was like, I feel like Peanut's really lonely. We need to get another one. And I was like, no. And then my wife was like, no, we seriously need to get another one. I read about it, and they're social animals. So I had to go buy another pig because we had that pig. Then I had to go outside and build a bigger pen. And now all they do is escape. Every day they escape.
All right. Every day.
Today I went home and I was chasing pigs with a stick.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I did when I got off work. I went home and I chased pigs around with a stick.
That's an interesting life. We always say, we all work together. So I'm the video designer at Covenant Church. And Covenant Church is the church that he pastors at. That's how we know each other. We'll talk about that story in a few minutes. But all the time, there's a pastor there named Seth, and there's a pastor there named David, and then we have our kids director's named Stacy. And Pastor Seth's always like questioning, like, well, what crazy thing is Pastor Travis gonna say that he did? Like, usually it's stuff like, I was just like, what'd you do last night? I was just fixing my beehive got loose and there's bees everywhere, or like, well, the support beam in my house, we're just replacing it, so I was just doing that by myself. Like those kinds of things. You have a crazy life.
I almost died doing that.
Did you really?
Yeah, because I thought that I could. We ripped our kitchen out because I found that hidden room in my house.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You did say there was a hidden space.
Okay, can I talk about that for a minute? Don't watch this at night because it'll freak you out. So we moved in this old farmhouse, and I found out that there was a hidden secret room in my house behind my refrigerator. Okay, so there's this gigantic bookcase, and I always wondered, like, here's the bathroom, here's the kitchen, and here's this bookcase that's like put into the wall. And I was like, man, I feel like there's space behind here, but I'm just not, I don't know, I'm not good with spatial awareness. And so one day I was moving the fridge, and I was like, I wonder what's being. So I like knocked on, and it sounded hollow. So I was the only one home. So I figured Vanessa wouldn't find out. I went and got a hammer, and I knocked a hole in the wall because it was behind the refrigerator.
Yeah.
And it busted a hole in the wall, and I looked in. I grabbed a flashlight, and there was a room, like a 13 by 6 foot room.
Oh my gosh, that's like a pretty big room,
dude. I was convinced there was a dead body in there.
Oh, I bet that's what I would have thought. I would have immediately thought there's a dead body, or like a kid, like a scary toy or something that was gonna come.
Like one little doll.
Yeah, like a little doll right in the middle, facing the corner.
Spiders. So we knocked that whole thing out and extended the kitchen, but we had to build this beam. And so this beam was like, I don't know, 14 or 15 foot long, and it had to be like this thick. It was huge. And So I got on a ladder. I had to build this thing out. So I got on the ladder on the one side, and I got it hoisted up on that side. And I went to the other side of the room, got the ladder, and I went to hoist it up on the other side, and I couldn't like pick it up and put it in the wall, and it like fell down on my shoulder.
Oh my gosh,
it was bad. I had to call a bunch of power lifters from our church to come over.
And did they help?
Yeah.
Oh man,
it took all three of them. So
that's nuts. Well, anyway, I'm glad you survived, so we could.
I'm glad to
be here talking.
I'm glad to.
Well, your life's crazy, so that's that. I wanted to bring it to that. I want to give the listeners some info about who you are, what you do. I want to know what your story is. Yeah. So you don't have to tell me your whole life story, but tell me, like, when you're a pastor, like, was it just in your mind when you were a kid? Hey, I want to be a pastor one day, or how did this work? I know that your father is a pastor too, so I don't know. You can tell me your story about how you decided this was like the kind of life you wanted to live.
Yeah, that's a good question. I get asked that a lot, honestly. I think there's a lot of tragic stories when it comes to pastors' kids. or even just being a church kid in general, growing up in church and whatever. I want to show honor to my parents because I feel like my dad and my mom were very intentional in how they raised my brother and I, especially concerning our faith, with Christ. And, from the jump, they were just always like, hey, this is on you. You know what I mean? Like, this is on you in terms of your faith. Dad can't do this for you. Now, while you're in my home, there's going to be some rules. We go to church as a family. But at some point, you have to decide if this is what you want or if this is what if you don't want this. And I appreciated that. And I think that was a protection, and that made my faith, I think, real at a younger age. But yeah, I feel like when I was young, my mom has this this, I guess this picture that I colored when I was young. We had like career day at school. I don't remember this. And you're supposed to draw what you wanted to be when you grew up. And I drew myself preaching. Be honest, so I brought this home. I guess my mom framed it, and So ever since I was little, I just loved seeing people find their purpose, like in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I loved church and church culture, and there's a change that happens when somebody meets Christ. That's different than anything else. And I just became like addicted to seeing that happen in my friends' lives, and I thought, man, this is just what I want to do. I will say in high school though, I was like kind of torn because I thought like I want to be a pastor, but I also love music, Yeah,
you're he's a super talented musician, by the way, everyone.
Oh,
like when we'll get into the church later, but whenever I first went to church, he was also leading the worship, and then he would preach after, and insanely good at singing, guitar, drums, everything.
Oh, drums.
Yeah. I've seen you on drums.
I don't know about that. But I my dad and I, we sat down. He was like, man, you got to like kind of make a choice. Do you want to pursue music? Do you want to go to ministry? And I don't know. I just went towards preaching. And I got my degree in youth ministry, and I love that. I love student ministry. But then I just fell in love with preaching. I don't know. I just love preaching.
Do you think any of that has to do with your big personality? Because like you are a happy dude that makes people feel comfortable.
Thanks.
You make people feel good.
Thanks.
Do you think that that's part of do you like talking to people? Do you like relationships?
I
Have you
do.
been that way your whole life?
I have been. Yeah, relationships are really important to me. I have friends that I've been friends with since I was little. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that makes me better than anybody. I just like people.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, I was going to say my wife is the opposite. I don't mean it like that.
Vanessa doesn't like
No,
that.
well, I just found, I'm a big time extrovert, right?
Yeah.
And so going to a big concert where there's 20,000 people, 50,000, that actually rejuvenates me. Whereas maybe someone like my wife, that would take her a while to recover from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Peace and quiet and solitude rejuvenates her.
Yeah.
Or, some of my friends that I have that are more introverted, when they go into large venues, it takes it out of them. For me, it's the opposite, total opposite.
Yeah.
And so I love spending time with people. I love walking with people. I love,
Well, I guess that also, that makes sense that the big groups are exciting. Because I think as just a random person right now who I don't know what I'd call myself. I don't know if I'm an extrovert or introvert. I kind of feel like I can be both.
You're just a vert.
I'm a vert. Yeah.
You're a vert.
I'm a vert. So as a vert, I think what would make you want to be on stage every week in front of a bunch of people talking?
Yeah.
Was that something, or is that something that you were always I want to be in front of people to display this message? Or not I don't mean that in a way that sounds like I want everyone to see me, but
sure.
Was that ever a fear that you had to conquer, or was that something that was just natural? Because I don't know how that feels, because I don't speak in front of people.
Yeah.
But
I could tell you about the first time I preached.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
That was never really going to be my intent. I was working as, like I said, a student pastor, and I was leading worship. And the church that I was at, they would simulcast the video, the same. So they would have the one worship experience in the sanctuary, and then over here I was leading worship in a different style of worship, and they would simulcast the video from here and play it over here, the sermon. Well, one week it just didn't work, and so there's just like 300 or 400 people in this room, and the video is like blank, and one of the guys on staff was like, "What are we gonna do?" And I was like, "I don't know." Like, I don't know. Let's do more music. You know, he's like, no, we got to preach. He's like, go. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, go up and preach. And I hadn't prepared anything, you know, but I went up and just talked anyway. And so then we had a staff meeting that week, and they sent people out to fix it. Anyway, dude, seriously, it happened 3 weeks in a row.
You just had to, you had like everything stopped working. You had to preach 3 weeks in a row.
And so by the third week, I had prepared something.
Yeah.
And then we met in the staff meeting. They were like, we're just forget it. It's not working. We're just going to do that all. You're just going to preach all the time. I was like, what? You know?
How old were you at this time?
Maybe like 24,
Nice.
20, probably like 25, something like that. And up to that point, I'd only really done student ministry, working with teenagers, working with college age. But I began preaching in this like whole process of developing a sermon. And I really like saw it, like equated it almost like writing a song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you put your heart into it, you put your soul into it, and you feel like you're really hearing from God. And the more that you know the people that you're speaking with, like the more I feel like you know how to speak and what to talk about. And I don't know, I just became, in the same way that I became really addicted to seeing people meet Jesus and seeing that life change, I just became like addicted to talking to people about Jesus from various platforms.
Does it give you like a, you know, there's like a runner's high or like a cool feeling when you're on stage? Or like when you were on stage at that point, has it always been something you've been comfortable with? Or is it like...
No.
Okay, so you had to
No,
work on
I don't think it's ever been...
Because I always wonder that, like even with super famous people who are constantly like doing movies or on stage or constantly talking in front of people, like is that just a natural thing they feel like doing, or do you just work up to it? Yeah,
I think it is probably something that you work up into. But, you know, I think there's also like I have to give, you know, biblically, if we're coming from a biblical worldview perspective, I have to give an account for the things that I say, right? And so while there is like the, hey, this is cool, there's also like the, okay, I don't want to screw this up. You know?
Yeah, you're leading a church of people that are listening. Like every
and,
second, every word that you say, they're either gonna like grab onto it in a positive way, but they're also they can take it. Being a pastor, you're gonna be the first person that when you say something stupid, like it's gonna be all over the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, you know, but here's the thing. So I think you have to balance, and I'm trying to learn this, right? I'm not saying I've achieved it. I think you have to balance like the excitement that comes with, man, I get to present God's word. I get to talk about Jesus to people. With the, okay, I'm going to talk to Jesus about people. And I think that it's really interesting, man. Being a pastor is so weird. It's just so weird on so many levels. Because I'm not a priest. I'm not the Pope. I mean, you know, it's like, and so I feel like part of my job consistently is to help people understand Christ first and foremost, but positionally to help people understand that I'm not that important. You know what I mean? Like that is part of my job. Yeah. And I think sometimes we idolize, maybe that's a wrong word, put on a pedestal the person instead of the message. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And so my job is like, no. Like I'm not important, but what God is saying is. So separate me from the message as much as possible. But I think what's weird about ministry is there's a tendency to kind of put those two things together as a pastor, and that's ego. Yeah. And, you know, scripture says that pride comes before the fall. And so, you know, how people come up and say like, man, that was an awesome message. And it would be super easy to be like, yeah, thanks. You know?
Yeah, I know it was.
but to be able to lean back and say like, man, God could use anybody. And I've heard him use people, you know. That's, I don't know. Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense.
Yeah. And so it's gotta, I think it's so important to lean into humility. I mean, I don't like talking to people. This is a personal thing. I don't like talking to people that I feel like they think they're better than me. Yeah, me neither. And so I don't want to be a person that's like, hey, let me give you all my knowledge here. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I understand. I'm the same. Like, I can barely, I don't think I could ever pay for a master class.
Yeah.
Or actually build one, even if I was the best filmmaker in the planet, because I'm
Well,
afraid of like coming off as that dude that thinks he knows everything or is the best at video. No one's the best at video. No one's the best at preaching.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Especially, I could see this being tough for you too, because the people that are usually in charge or doing great sermons or are on a stage in that environment, that can be compared to like a comedian or a musician or someone in the secular world that gets like praised for that, and they just take pride in it because they're good at it. You know what I mean? Not all of them, but it's a little different. That makes more sense to take pride in like being good at like a concert than like giving God's word to people, something that's his. Just he's using you as a vessel in that
I mean, seriously, I'm not inventing material.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's
not like the original content.
No, I mean, here's scripture. And so my goal is to take this and say, where is our church at? Where are our people at? Mm-hmm. What do I feel like God's leading us to do next? What does God's word say? Okay, hey guys, here's what God's word says. Mm-hmm. And to try to present that in the clearest way possible, you know? But I would say this, and I think this goes beyond church. I think this goes beyond whatever. I think it is important to be confident, though. Yeah. And I think sometimes people have like this false humility, where it's like they want to be like, you know, like, I'm good. Like, no, if you are good, if you have studied your craft, if you've worked hard at it and you're good, like, own that. Be confident, but don't be arrogant. Mm-hmm. The problem is, I think that confidence looks like arrogance to insecure people. Yeah, I agree. And so I can be confident, but I also need to gauge how confident I am around certain people. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I know. Yeah, it's like pride. So that goes into the next thing I kind of want to chat about was your job isn't just to like preach, and that's what I think a lot of people think being a pastor is, because I'm assuming that people that are listening to this either go from all ranges of life. They're either like non-believers, they're atheists, or they are the best Christian ever, or they're Catholic, or they're Muslim, or they're Jewish, or they're whatever. I don't care what they are. I'm glad they're listening if they are at this point. So in that regard, I don't know what people think a pastor does, but stereotypically, from my opinion, people probably think, well, they preached on Sunday and they're done. But there's a lot more than that. Relationally, like, is it a lot? Like, is it? I don't want it to sound like we're like crap talking being a pastor, but what's like the non-seen things, like the things that people don't see about what you do, that like because I've had you literally say to me, like, the majority of my job is not like that one time I get to preach. There's 2 services, you know what I mean? There's a lot more to it than that. And this is a big question, because this isn't, I don't mean you have to talk about like there's like the not even just like the people that are involved, but there's like the planning and the leading of a full team and all that kind of stuff. Is that tough? Like, is that a different kind of feeling?
Well, I think there's a couple ways to answer that. First off, we have like a motto, like a family motto. We do hard things, right? And so I think part of the challenge is to redefine what hard is, what hard entails. So is it hard? No. It's not hard. Yeah. Is it challenging? Yes. Is it heavy? A lot of times. But is it hard? No. Why? Because I love it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I love it. And because I love it, I mean, I get paid to do what I love. I get paid to do what I would want to do for nothing. Right? Mm-hmm. So in that sense, it's not hard. What's heavy or challenging about it is the same thing that gives me, I think, the credibility to stand up and preach. And that's the relationship building. Right? And so what allows, I think, this, so that I can't talk about all pastors.
Yeah, this isn't, I don't mean all this is just you as Pastor Travis, a pastor that lives in Ohio.
Yeah, I think what affords me the opportunity and the right to stand up and talk, to share God's word with our church, is what happens the other 6 days, right? Which is the phone calls, which is the hospital visits, which is the counselings, which is the, you know, the things you go to, the things you walk to, tear. I mean, seriously, like the tears that you have, like the people you bury, the people you marry.
Yeah.
Like, so that's the job. That's the actual job. And it's when you do those things, you know the people that you're speaking with. And like, I don't feel like I'm getting up and speaking on a Sunday or whatever because it's like I have this great, you know, like, oh, I have this message that is just, you know, so, and it's like, I feel like, man, I've discovered this in Scripture and I want my friends to know it so bad because it's changed my life. You know what I mean? And so I know a lot of people in our church. I want to know a lot more, but I know them. And so, does that make sense? So
it makes 100% sense.
What's hard about it is like when you see somebody in a certain stage of life and they give up.
Yeah.
That's what's hard. When somebody takes their life, yeah. I mean, you know, when they split, when kids leave, that stuff.
It's tough because you're a part of it because they share it with you because they feel comfortable with you because they know that you're going to lead them spiritually in one way or another. You can't really share that with people because it's personal. So how do you deal with that emotionally? Because that's a lot of emotional burden that may get put on your shoulders that I feel like would keep you up at night. You know what I mean?
Well, but I think it comes back to that humility thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like knowing...
Because it's not you who has to deal with the problem specifically.
No, well, I think it's me who gets to deal with the problems, but I'm not the answer to the problem.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, once again, like, I think that's why helping people realize that I'm not important and that they have access to the same text that I do. You know what I mean? And, you know, we would talk about Scripture in the way like the Holy Spirit. And so the same Holy Spirit that I have, it's not exclusive because I'm a pastor, but it's available to anybody who accepts Christ, you know? And so, I don't know, does that make sense?
Yeah, 100% sense.
Yeah, and so, like here's the whole thing. Like, you don't need me to know God.
Yeah.
You don't need me to know Christ. But I think a lot of times we approach church like, oh, you know, like that's my only... And I think that's why people get burned by church.
Yeah.
Because churches come across judgmental, hateful. There's the pastor fails for whatever reason. And then people are like, you know, so don't, like, I'm a person. You know, like, really.
Yeah, you are a person.
I mean,
I get to work with you. I get to see more than most people do. So
Yeah.
I get to see all your faults.
You
Just
do.
kidding.
There's a lot of them.
No, there's only one or two.
Yeah. My dancing is one of those faults.
No, that's not a fault.
Okay.
Not at all. That's awesome.
It's a gift.
Well, we're getting into this real good. So before we get too much further into like
Yeah. Church
world, being a pastor, I want to know, and I mean, I already know this, but I'd love for the listeners and people who are watching or whatever.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is going to be on YouTube, so be prepared for if anyone comments on this, it'll probably be some troll being like, God's not real.
Yeah.
Which
I
go for
be
it.
Fat jokes, but okay.
No, that's not good. No. That's amazing. No, it'll be like someone trying to start a moral philosophy theology conversation.
No, for sure, man.
Which would be cool because I say
great.
take this. We're not the kind of Christians that will not speak to other people about things.
No,
we
man.
have a belief system.
Any kind of conversation is good.
Yeah.
You know
I
what I
love
mean?
conversations.
Yeah.
So anyways, tell me about Covenant Church. It's the church that we both work at.
Yeah.
It's the church that you planted from scratch.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting story, and we're still in the story because it's still a church. It's still developing.
Yeah.
But tell me why that started and kind of how it's led us to know each other and where it's at now and where you want it to be in the future, and then we can chat a little bit about that.
Well, you know, I mean, I think that for me, I really fell in love with preaching, you know, and I love the church that I was at. You know, it's my dad's church, you know, the church that he was pastoring and a part of. And God just started shaping my heart and changing my heart, you know, nothing bad about the church that I was in. West Hill Baptist Church, it's a great church. It's an awesome church, man. I grew up there, but I just came home one day, honestly, after my wife and I, we'd been fasting and praying over some different things, and I just felt God say, and I didn't hear, like, you know, I don't know what people think of when they hear God speaking to them, but, like, there weren't clouds, and, like, the clouds didn't part, and, like, the fat, naked baby cherubs with horns, and God came out. You know, it wasn't like that. I just sensed God saying, like, hey, man, you're done here. You're done. And that was honestly one of the scariest moments of my life, because it's like, okay, so what do I do then? And then it was just like silence, you know, and that was scary. And I didn't know what that meant. So I was just praying and reading, and it was over the course of a couple months as I'm doing this, asking God, okay, what, and I don't know if you've ever had a feeling where you're like, you know, you're not doing what you're supposed to do, but you're not released to like leave yet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That stinks. And that's where I was. And then one of my buddies texted me, he was like, yo, you got to read this story about this guy that started a church. And I was like, I didn't know people started churches. I just thought, if you don't like your church, you know, on staff, you go somewhere else to a church you like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I started reading these stories of these people that were starting these churches, and just like very quickly was like, oh man, that's it. And God brought a team of people around us, very small group of people. And about a year and a half later, we all sold our houses, quit our jobs, and we moved to Grove City. We started a church. I mean, it literally was like that. We didn't know anybody. We know anybody here. We moved down here. And I remember we moved here, and it was December. And Christmas, we were like on this high. You know, we're like, yeah. And then I remember January. And you know how Januaries are in Ohio.
Oh, it's the worst. It's like just depression.
It's horrible.
It's just dark and gray and horrible.
It's horrible. So,
by the way, just to give everyone context, we are in Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. If you don't know where Ohio is, it's in the Midwest. Yeah. The state that looks like a mitten, Michigan, is right above us, directly above us. If you look at that and then look down, you're looking at Ohio. That's us. We're right in the middle. Yeah. And where were you before?
Worcester.
Where's that at on the
it's
map?
North of us, about an hour and a half.
So near probably where LeBron James lived, right?
Yeah, he's like 20 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
Akron.
Yeah. So you came from there to Columbus, Ohio. And Ohio is... Yeah. It's about as average as it gets as a state.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I love it here, but it's average.
For sure.
In January, it's not average.
I hate it in January. It's awful. It just is. Because there's not like, there might be snow, but there might not be. And if there's not snow, there's mud.
Yeah, there's no color. It's like a grayish, weird.
It's grayish
It's just grayish gray outside.
Sometimes it's grayish black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
So it was on a grayish black, dark day. And I walked outside and I was like, what have I done? I was like, oh my gosh, we actually did this.
Yeah.
You know, and
you're like, I got all these people to come here. Like, what do we do?
Yeah, like we had a couple families that they had quit their jobs and sold their houses and moved, and it was like day one, and I was like, why did I do this? Why? You know, because we didn't know anybody, and like, I don't know, it was super scary. Like in that moment, I think that's like when the weight of it like hits you, you know? But then you just like suck it up and just go and start meeting people and start talking to people. And I just walk up to people in Starbucks, you know, and be like, hey, I'm going to be starting a church. And I don't know if you go to church or not. If you go to a church, cool, just do that thing. But if you don't, I think you're going to love this church. And they're like, oh, where does it meet? And we're like, oh, it doesn't meet yet. We haven't started, but we're going to start in like 6 months. And like, okay, yeah, you know. And so slowly, we built up a couple people, and then we started having church in a movie theater, and that's it. You know, just people started having encounters with Jesus and started, and that's where we're at. And so now we're like 8 years later, and I think for me, one of the things, and this is not to knock any churches, but I feel like I can talk about church culture while not having to attack any church, right? My thing is, and we were having a conversation a little bit before even we jumped on here about church culture. Churches should be creative. Churches should be progressive in terms of pushing culture and driving culture and attracting people, right? And so I think that's my desire. You talk about what should church be like. That's my desire.
Yeah.
While not sacrificing theology being the study of God, right? And our understanding of him and his nature. And so my question has always been like, how come there are churches that are so theologically awesome, but their worship or their music is so lame?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it's almost like, and Pastor Seth and I talk about this all the time, or it's almost like, man, this church has such great music. They write so well, but their theology is so weak.
Yeah.
And so from the very beginning, we were like, can it be both?
Yeah.
Like, can it be
should
both?
Be. I think it can.
That's what we try.
That's what we're trying to do.
That's what we're trying to do. And I would say, man, our Pastor Seth and our covenant worship, covenant music, they do an amazing job with writing, telling the story of our church, from a musical perspective. I'm thankful for them, and I love that. And I think we work really hard on crafting together sermons. But all that, once again, that's like up here, right? All that is built on the foundation of getting currency with people through blood, sweat, and tears. All that encapsulated around Christ. All of it. Mm-hmm. So without those relationships, I don't feel like I have the right to talk about this stuff. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that's where we are.
Yeah.
I'm in the future, man. I don't know. I think that church is going to look a lot different in 10 to 15 years than it does now. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that won't be different is the fact that my opinion, scripturally, people need Jesus. People are hurting. People need relationships. Those things won't change. Mm-hmm. And so I think as long as those are the things like, hey, what's the church look like in the future? Well, hopefully it's a place where people find rest and peace and purpose in Jesus and relationships. If they can, in community, if they can find that, then the method, right, can change, because that's the mission. You see what I'm saying? So methods should be able to shift. Methods should be able to change. Yeah. The problem is when in religion, oh man, you got me now. I'm gonna start preaching. I'm just saying. The problem is, like with religion, is religious method is crap. I don't know what else to say. It just is, because religion demands that you become a certain type of person to be accepted. Mm-hmm. But that's not the message of Christ. That wasn't the mission of Christ. He came to find people who weren't accepted. He said, no, I love you. I love you for who you are now. I love you now, right? Get in a relationship with me. Let's be in a relationship. Religion doesn't say that. And so if you got a church that's built on religion, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be there. And quite frankly, I'm not going to be.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I'm not going to invite my friends to have a religious experience that's fake. Mm-hmm. I don't want that. I've never wanted that. I never do.
Definitely not like that at Covenant.
No. If it's not real, then why are we doing it?
I agree. Then what's the point?
What is the point? If it's not authentic, then why? Mm-hmm. Like, why? Just don't waste my time, and I don't want to waste yours.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, I love it. Well, Covenant has been a very important thing in my life as well. I started going to Covenant Church when I was in high school. I was 17 whenever you guys planted the church. It was actually Pastor David, who still works there. He was my football kicking coach. I kicked for the football team my senior year just for the heck of it, just for fun. For the Comets, the Central Crossing Comets.
That's also when I met Allie.
Yeah, my wife. You also met my wife.
She hated me the first time she met me.
Allie probably would admit that she did not like Covenant at first, but she was at like a very traditional Baptist church for her whole life.
Yeah.
With like red carpets and stuff.
Yeah.
So then coming to a movie theater was like blew her mind kind of, you know what I mean? Like the same, so like I met Pastor David and he like told me he was a church planter. I thought that meant he planted flowers at churches and stuff. I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
So, cause I went to Catholic church my whole life. I grew up Catholic. So whenever my mom's like, hey, we weren't going to church for like 6 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And she was like, because eventually when me and my brother got old enough, we were like, we don't want to go to Catholic church anymore. This is lame.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to say that's lame to anyone else. I didn't like it. It was boring. And I remember going to Regal the first time, Regal Cinema, which is not a movie theater anymore now. It's closed.
It's out.
That is where Covenant was meeting, and my parents were like, hey, there's a movie theater church. We think you would love it. I'm like, oh, sure. That sounds pretty cool, I guess. It was like a thing that started. Like Elevation was doing it and all those things.
Sure.
So I came and I was like mind blown. Like it was the first one ever. You did that thing where, not the first service ever, but the first one I went to ever. You did that thing with those what were those things called? Those neon sticks.
Yeah, the glow sticks.
The glow sticks.
Yeah.
You had us like, we all got glow sticks and you had us like put them in there. I don't remember what the illustration was, but I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And there was like videos playing and like that intro.
Yeah.
That was like with the little like.
Dude, can I tell you about that, by the way?
Yeah.
This guy, his name's Chris Guillot. He is insanely talented, by the way. He designed that for us. He works on a bunch of stuff now. He helped design like intros to like Game of Thrones and stuff. Now he works out of some place out of New York. I don't even know. He's super cool. Okay, so how we got those intros, because we had no money.
Yeah.
I would call people who, on these sites like, I don't know, whatever, these art sites. I would get on there and find these graphic artists or video artists, and I would say, hey, I'm looking to hire somebody for a project. Could you send me a mock-up of what you could do with an intro? And they would send it to me, and I'd be like, okay, thanks. I think we're going to hire somebody else. And I'd use it for Sunday mornings as intros. I swear to you.
You got to hustle.
Oh, man, it was so bad.
You're hustling hard.
It was hustling pretty hard. In
I'm
fact,
glad you can
people
admit
put
it
their
now.
watermark in the bottom, and I would just like run it through iMovie and like just crop it up.
Just crop it up? Oh, my gosh. Hey,
That's
man,
a
at least
true
you're honest
story.
about it. Hey, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a
Starting a
full-time
church
graphic
thief.
artist immediately as a thief.
Yeah.
This is where the comments will happen. He says he's a pastor, but he stole digitally.
I know.
It's all right. We're recording this podcast on a stolen version of Adobe Audition CC 2014.
I'm just trying to be honest. So we did it first. We did end up paying people, but not those people.
Yeah, it's all good. Either way, it made an impact on me because it was cool, and I stuck around. Covenant is where I learned how to do video. Like, I went to college, and we're not going to talk about college because I hate college, and I think it's dumb, but we're not going to go into that. I went to college, and I was doing video there, and I came back, and you guys were doing, we had like at one point, so the Covenant's been in a few different areas, but at one point we had like a little tiny built church building, like in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. And they were recording video of Pastor Travis' sermons. So Pastor Seth had just started around that time, and I was just trying to get involved at the church at that point. I didn't volunteer for the first like 2 years. Yeah. It wasn't until we were at that church, at the Galloway campus, where I came in, and it was like I was home for the summer from college, and I was like, I didn't want to do video, Pastor Travis, and he's like, well, here's Pastor Seth, he's the creative guy, and blah blah blah. And I just basically sat in the back, and I just sat on this. PT didn't used to move that much, so he would stick in his one spot, and I just would
move when I preached.
When he preached,
I've always moved as a human, just not when I preached. Yeah, jeez,
I didn't mean it like that, but I would just sit in the back with a tripod and just like on this one little stool, and I would just do this. Yeah, and that was the first thing I did video wise at Covenant, and then I went back to school, and then I came back, and that's whenever like the 5D Mark II revolution came. There was like this big revolution for DSLRs. Like Pastor Seth got a 5D Mark II, and we came back, and he had me film something on it, and I did like this like internship. Basically. It was like the first internship. It was me and Sarah Plotter, and I learned a ton that year about editing and filming, and it was like basically Covenant like unleashed what creativity was to me. In this sense, I've always been kind of creative. I've always liked art and drawing stuff, but like video wise in college, they were like broadcast and the laws of broadcasting is this. And there was literally 0% creativity in that field of creativity. And when I got into the Covenant, there was all this creativity and like all this, it was sweet. It was just my eyes were exploding to it. And I basically owe like all of my career to that, because if it wouldn't have been for what was happening there, I would have just did what everyone else did, and I'd probably be working in Zanesville at WHIZ. Yeah. Which, if anyone that's watching this works there, I don't mean that it's a bad place, because I know my friends have worked there, and it's probably great. Yeah. I just don't personally want to work in broadcast.
It's called Wiz?
WHIZ, Wiz TV.
Wiz TV?
WHIZ. I don't think they like it when you say Wiz.
I wouldn't.
Because it sounds like you're peeing. But it's WHIZ. That's their call letters or whatever you call it. I don't remember anything from college. So
it sounds like an early morning, like Doug and the Wiz.
In the yeah.
You know, like driving to work.
Some of my best friends.
Doug and the Wiz.
Some of my best friends worked there. Like my friend Jason Dilly. I'm pretty sure he worked there. Duke, you know Duke.
Yeah,
Duke. He worked there.
Yeah.
And my friend Candy worked there, I think. So I'd never worked there because I probably had a dumb attitude.
It's Candy and the Wiz. Zanesville, WHIZ. Like that. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
You're going to have to correct that. I think I got really loud.
No, it's not. No, I'm looking at the levels. It didn't actually get too loud.
But back to your creativity thing.
Anyways, I don't know why I'm talking about this. Other
because there's a station called Wiz. Yeah. That's why.
I love Covenant was a great place for me. It's a great place. It impacted my life spiritually, but it also because there's great leaders there, like you and Pastor David and Pastor Seth.
Yeah.
But also because I work there now,
Yeah.
essentially, which
Yeah.
which is a cool story in its own. But I don't know. Covenant's a really important thing to me. So like this
Yeah.
little thing that you started
Yeah.
8 years ago, 9. I never know how many. I feel like we've been in year 8 for a long time.
I think we have.
Is
been.
it not year 8
It's
anymore?
been 8. It's been year 8 for 8 years.
Okay.
I think it's been 8 years, going on 9 years.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that's true because what was it? 2010, 11?
Something. Yeah.
If it's 2010, we're getting close to 10 years. That's awesome.
Nah, yeah. Well, it's like we're turning 9 this year.
Okay, and it's just that little idea you had has done a lot of stuff for a lot of people, and I get to see that because I've filmed a lot of stories of
Yeah.
people's lives who have changed inside a Covenant.
It's crazy.
Like
It's crazy to see, man. It is crazy to see. And then churches that have been started
Yeah.
out of our church, you know, and other churches, and like, you know, missionaries that are around the world, and it's just it's really humbling. And you look at something, you're like, I don't have the ability to do that. Like I didn't, you know, and and I think that's one of the fun things about creativity and vision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is that when you do it, when you have creativity and vision in teams, first off, it's just way more fun.
Yeah.
You know, and then people get to add in and build it, and we get to build this together. You know, we get to put this thing together, and I love that, and it bums me out too. You know, one of the things I love in terms of music. Can we talk about music for a second?
Yeah, let's talk about music.
One of the things that always killed me growing up was, oh man, I'm gonna get hated on for this. Like I'm gonna get hated
Who
on hard.
cares? We're on the internet.
For a
People
long
hate,
time.
people hate on everything.
For a long time, Christian music was so bad, like so bad.
Like Mercy Me Bad.
No, man, mercy me. That's my dude, Bart.
Bart.
No.
Like
no,
anyone knew who that was before that movie came out.
See, no, man. I'm saying like, I'm talking about. There was just some rough music back in the day.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what it was because I didn't listen to it because I wasn't interested.
I was the only thing I was allowed to listen to. Right? Was Christian music, and so I thought that was music.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, and so then I got
sadly awoken whenever.
What's that?
You probably awoken whenever you got to hear secular music.
Yeah. Well, then I heard like the Beatles for the first time, or the Beach Boys for the first time, or Run DMC, and I was like, what is this? You know, like I grew 5 inches. I was like, you know, and I think there's just been this misnomer where it's like, we've talked about this. If it's Christian, it doesn't have to be that good.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, if it's Christian, if it's like, first off, the whole idea of Christian music is crazy because you can be a Christian and just produce good music.
Yeah. Angel Lopez is a good example of that.
He's a great example of that. We got a buddy, shout out to Angel. He's a Christian dude. Hopefully I'm not like outing Angel. He's a Christian dude who creates beats.
Yeah.
And he creates sick music, right? And not under the label of like Christian music, but he's a Christian creating good art. And I think that's important.
Yeah, same.
You know, so whether you're a Christian whether you're a Christ, let's use this word. If you're a Christ follower, you follow the teachings of Jesus, and you're a videographer, well, that doesn't make you like only have to make Christian videos. You know what I'm saying? Like you can just make great art and be like, I'm a Christian person, I'm a Christ follower, and I also produce great art. And I think those things can like go together. So I think for a long time it was a really big bummer to think like, oh, I can only listen to music that's not great. Now, I think Christian music has evolved a lot out of necessity, but I think you see a lot of great artists now who classify or identify as a Christ follower who are also producing great music in a secular platform. And I'm thankful for that. I think that's good. I think that makes better artists. I think that makes better music. And I think that breaks down like that religious dogma that people kind of get stuck to. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Music.
Music.
I listen to so that was the opposite for me. I hated secular music. I still don't like any of it.
Yeah.
I hated music for years. I was like, what's so good about
How do you
this?
hate music?
I don't know. I was like, what's so good about this? What's so good about this? Until, and people are going to think I'm stupid for this, until I went to a spoken Staple and Disciple concert
Yeah.
in 6th grade.
Yeah.
And I heard metal, like Christian
Yeah.
metal for the
Yeah.
first time. And I think that all it was I hadn't heard the thing that I liked the most.
Yeah.
And like then I started listening to like real screamo, like the
Yeah.
music where no one understands what they're saying. Like
Yeah.
that stuff calms me down and makes me feel happier than anything.
Yeah.
So like it was Christian metal that made me like music.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is
funny.
weird because
No,
it's
that's
not
funny,
something
man.
that most people will probably would give them a headache to listen to that music.
Hey, to each his own.
Yeah.
That's all good. I was listening to one of your bands the other day, and I didn't know that they were like having like a kind of crisis of faith or whatever.
Who was it, Under Oath?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I just had them going on Spotify. I was driving, and I'm just listening, right? And I have it cranked up, and they're singing or whatever, and the dude just drops the F word out of nowhere. I was like, what the heck? You know, I was like, what in the world? You know, and because my kids were all in the back, and I was like, oh, Daddy didn't play that, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, what in the world? And I realized like, oh, they're going through some stuff or whatever, but it just kind of blew my mind. Because I was like, oh, dang, I wish I would have known that.
That's true. That's being like listening to Hillsong United doing a song or something,
I
and
could
then
play
be
it
like,
for my 5-year-olds.
like if that you're listening to like one of their new songs and they just drop 5 F-bombs or something randomly.
It was just surprising because I wasn't expecting it.
You weren't expecting it, yeah.
And my twins were in the back seat.
Yeah,
That was it.
Yeah, because they probably would hear that word and be like, I want to say that word.
Yeah.
Say it a bunch.
Maybe good parenting 101 is just don't play heavy metal to your twins. But I think that is good parenting.
Yeah.
To expose them to all types of genres of music.
And then also give your one twin dreads.
Asher, he has long hair.
You should give him
He
dreads.
won't let us cut his hair. He has not had his hair. Okay, my wife has trimmed his hair, but he cried when we told him that we were going to cut his hair. So now his hair is down to here.
Yeah.
He's also our wild man. He literally wants to be Tarzan. So he won't wear shoes. He's always dirty. He's always climbing things. He's the happiest child I've ever met. And I told him that I wanted to give him dreadlocks. He's like, all right.
You should do it.
My wife won't let me.
It'd be so cool. You know how cool he would be as a little kid?
I know.
Like with all his other little kid friends, and he just has dreads.
I'm trying to get Vanessa to do like just one dread.
Oh, I would love it if Allie
you
would
seen
do one dread. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like the secret dread.
Yeah.
Like she could have all of her hair everywhere else. You just have this one
Just
dreadlock.
one dread.
That
I want
only
Allie to
know
have
about.
a dread.
Huh?
I want Allie to have one dread. Only you know about it.
Only
No
I
one
know,
can
but no
see
one else
it.
knows. Let me see that
Okay.
dreadlock girl.
I want dreads.
You do?
Yeah, I've always wanted them. I just have been impatient and didn't grow my hair out. I feel like I could do it because like Allie didn't used to like my beard, and then I just kept it.
Would
now
you do dreads with your beard?
Yeah. Well, no, I wouldn't dread my beard. Maybe, but Allie didn't really like my beard for the longest time, and then eventually, like earlier today, I was like, I'm gonna shave it off. She's like, no, don't get rid of it. So apparently, if you have something long enough, maybe your wife will start to like.
Yeah. I feel like if I did anything weird with my hair, classify weird because I'm a ginger.
I don't think you're a ginger when you say that, by the way.
Really?
I think you have blonde hair.
Okay.
And I always have.
All right.
But you can think you're a ginger.
No, I'm happy to be whatever. But gingers we don't have souls, so that's first and foremost. But anyway, that's like the thing.
That'd be
right?
hypocritical then if
Gingers
you're
don't have
preaching
souls.
about helping people's souls.
Yeah.
And you don't have
coming
one.
from a ginger, that's saying something.
Yeah.
No, I feel like w's the dude on I just lost his name. The dude on Parks and Rec.
Cartman?
No.
Oh wait, that's South Park.
Cartman. No, the dude not Ron. I almost said Ron Burgundy. What's his name? The dude
I don't know. I don't watch that show.
The dude Parks and Rec. That's one of my top 5 shows.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I've only watched like the first episode a couple times.
Oh, man,
I don't know why
awesome.
I've watched the
Aziz
first episode.
on that is so good. No, I just totally lost his name. Whatever. But he's the dude with the mustache. Anyway, he meets his ex-wife and he just goes completely crazy, and he gets his hair done in cornrows.
You should get cornrows.
That's what I would look like. That's
Yeah.
the problem. That would be terrifying.
That's funny.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, we're kind of wrapping up here. I wanted to ask a couple more questions. Let's see.
Sorry if I've given you the most boring podcast.
This hasn't been boring at all. This has been amazing. These are like more personal things. So we talked about pastoring and Christianity and church and all that. Let's talk about you a little bit so people can see that you're a real person.
Okay.
Like, what are your interests? What do you like to do? Well, I know that you're very into media and you love video and that kind of stuff because you have a position at your church for just like, I'm a video designer at a church. That's not very typical.
Sure,
it's getting more common.
Sure.
It didn't used to be common. Like I'd say probably like 10 years ago, if I would have said that, they'd been like, that's a waste of money.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
So what do you like to do? Like outside of being a pastor?
Yeah. I like to do a lot of things. I think this is one of the good things about marriage too, is I've been married to my wife, Vanessa. Now this will be like year 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And
It's
you're
crazy.
so young. You're like, what, 25?
I'm 25 and, I'm 37 and yeah, and she's amazing and she's beautiful and she's awesome, but she's also like a strong woman, you know, and which is super important to me, that she is her own person, you know, in our marriage. And I think one of the things that's come of that, I am answering a question, I swear.
Oh, yeah. You don't have to answer. You can just keep talking about whatever you want.
Well, one of the things I think that can happen in marriage, if you allow it, is there's this word in Scripture, sanctification, right? And that's becoming more and more like Christ every day. And marriage will be classified as like a sanctifier. And the reason is because, like, I feel like God made Vanessa for me, right? And for me, for her. And so that means I can't really truly know myself completely. How can I say this? Without knowing her, right? And so I actually am more, hopefully this makes sense. I am actually more the me that God intended for me to be, the more I lean into being her husband. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so because of that, I don't need to be afraid of that. I don't need to be intimidated by that. But my wife has a lot to teach me, you know, in terms of some of the weak spots in my life or areas I've never really considered or thought of. Like for me, I didn't grow up on a farm. And so I didn't want that. I don't even know that I still do, whatever. But my wife was like, no, we can redo this house. You can do that, you know? And so as a result of that, I've learned how to do certain things. Mm-hmm. I'm not great, but I've learned. I built our large table in our house, you know, big farm table. That's not something I would have ever done. And I enjoyed it, you know? And so now I find myself enjoying to do like woodworking and caring for animals and growing things and growing plants and growing trees and fruit and taking care of larger animals. We're talking about getting cows and how to take care of them and how to feed, you know, them and how to live off the land, things like that. That's not stuff that I would have normally done at all. Last year we went on this big trip, went out west, right? Kind of like what you guys did. Mm-hmm. And with all 5 kids, we drove to the Grand Canyon, to Arches, to up through California, the Redwoods and Mount Rainier. And we stayed in a hotel like 3 times, like over a 4-week period. We camped out every night, you know? And so building these fires and cooking and like all those things. So I enjoy all those things.
Yeah.
I enjoy all those things. I really enjoy spending time. I really enjoy this is going to sound whatever. I really enjoy a good conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Like a real conversation.
Yeah.
And I think there's conversations that we have that are like here. I enjoy a conversation that's like here. Mm-hmm. You know, like where it's like getting real. Yeah. I enjoy that. But I also enjoy good art. I really do. Like weird
movies.
Stuff. Huh?
You love movies.
I love movies.
You go every Sunday, right?
I go by myself.
Yeah, the people probably don't know that.
I hope they don't.
Is that your thing?
Thanks for outing me.
I'm glad.
I'm not weirdo that goes and just like puts his hood up and like sits in the back, you know, and just watches.
How many years have you been doing that?
I don't know.
Like for as long as I've known you, like it's like 8-9 years.
Yeah. I mean, as long as we've been in that theater, I just go like after we put our kids down to bed, and I just like my wife is really chill about it, and she's like, yeah, go, because that's just my time to be quiet. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean, and like turn everything off and just kind of whatever. but I love watching. And it's not just like large format movies. I love watching documentaries and learning, and I love reading, and so I love that kind of stuff. I love football. I love the Buckeyes. I love music. I love musical instruments. I'm always wanting to learn about that stuff. My kids are super into violin and viola, and so that's a whole nother like thing that we've been learning.
Yeah.
Learn how to take care of vehicles. You know what I'm saying? I know that sounds funny, like changing the oil and
I love
putting
it.
on brakes.
It's all the things that you should learn in school.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Without getting too into it, but
No, you're not wrong there.
like how to do taxes.
Yeah, and we homeschool our kids too. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Which is a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. There's so many conversations we could have that are so, what's the word I'm looking for? The ones that are like
Rabbit trails.
like, well, not rabbit trails, like they're controversial.
Yeah,
There's a lot of controversial conversations we could have, which the next time I have you on,
controversial.
we're going straight for conversation. Like we're going straight for like, why is God real? Or why is that like straight
hard
bad stuff that
it's great. Bring it on.
I want to know about.
No, and I think those are all things, right? So basically, whatever my kids are interested in, that's what I'm getting interested in. And
that's cool.
Yeah, and so whatever my wife is interested in, I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, his son's awesome. Noah, your oldest son.
Yeah, I've got Noah, Estella, Judah,
They're all
Asher,
awesome.
and Moses.
They're all great kids. Just his oldest son Noah is very interested in video.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to teach him as much as I can.
Yeah.
He's 12 still, right? Or is he 13?
He's 13 in June.
He's 12 and he knows how to use a cinema camera. He knows a lot more than kids that are seniors in college now that study broadcast. I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
He's going to be a really special kid.
Yeah, he is. He definitely is. And I think that's, are we allowed to still keep talking or?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm still rolling, dude.
All right,
We're an hour in, but we can keep going.
Is anybody going to watch this, do you think, this long?
I don't think people are going to watch the video, but people will listen to this.
Yeah.
I listen to podcasts that are 3 hours long.
Oh, okay.
Like that's why I make these long, because
Okay.
I kind of do this based on. It's funny. I probably shouldn't, but like a lot of people in the media world or in video or content creation world will make stuff for like their audience because they know people will listen or their numbers will be. I literally want to make this because it's like similar to what I would consume.
Yeah.
So podcast wise, I like to listen to podcasts throughout the week.
Yeah.
So if it's like one long podcast, every time I get in the car, it just keeps going.
I get that.
That's why I make these
It's
long.
like a story.
It's like a good way because like I have to edit so often.
Yeah.
All these projects that I film hours of into like a 5-minute piece or 3 minutes or 2 minutes. It's kind of refreshing to just like
it's like a purge.
Throw this together and send it to the internet and have
I
someone
get it.
listen to us talk.
No, I get it. I think that, when you talk about like your kids and parenting, I'm excited that Noah is excited about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I think my job as a dad is to continue to, and I'm not saying I'm good at this. This is an area I want to grow in and continue to, get better in. But I think my job is to get excited about what he's excited about.
Mm-hmm.
And from a Christian perspective, figure out how, whatever it is that he's excited about, how to apply the gospel through it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't care what he does, honestly. But I do care what he does in the fact that I want him to be passionate about it.
Yeah.
And so if that is him, and I'm not like ranking jobs best or worst here. I'm just saying, like, so if he turns out to be like a pastor, awesome. But I only want him to do that if he's passionate about that.
Yeah.
If he turns out to be a videographer, awesome. But I only want him to do that if he's passionate about that, can apply the gospel to it.
Yeah.
If he turns out to raise mini pigs, I won't support that. But I will. You know what I mean, though? Like,
yeah, I know.
Good. Like,
I think that's amazing. That's a really cool way of parenting. I don't know how to parent, but I think that's like a next gen version of parenting where you don't want your kids to feel like they have to do something because it's like living through their parents or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like the thought of and I don't want to like stepping into his toes here, but I've seen it before where parents like live through their kids and vice versa, where like parent, like it's like they're living through their kids and their kids are only doing that because their mom and dad want them to do it. So it's like
Yeah.
I think it's like I don't think that's personally a good thing.
No,
then
and
one
you
gets
should
to
step on people's toes because it's wrong.
Yeah, because no one. Yeah.
Well, we put undue stress, strain, anxiety on our kids, right? Because we've been there, right? Our friends have been there, whatever. By saying like, nope, you have to do this or this. What is it? And you're like, I don't like either one of those things. Well, sorry, that's your life. And you're like, oh, I hate life.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the perspective that Scripture teaches, the perspective my wife and I are trying to come from, and some of our friends were saying like, what do you love to do? Okay, let's figure out how to get you paid for that. Mm-hmm. You know, and I would want to do, like, I'll take a job that I love to do and I'm paid for, which will help me live, versus a job that I don't like to do and it'll help me live extravagantly. Mm-hmm. I'll choose the first over the other. Yeah, because one brings fulfillment, and the other brings like emptiness.
Yeah, empty inside your heart with like a house full of stuff, but you still feel empty.
So that could be the worst day of somebody's life. The day that they finally achieve that position, that level of success, and then they realize they're not actually happier. You know, that has to be the most depressing day, because where do you go from there? If you've done it all, you've gotten it all, you know. Yeah. I don't want that to have my kids.
Same. I don't want that to have my future kids at all.
So therefore, I got to learn what he's excited about. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest with you. There's some things that he gets excited about that I'm like, oh, God, help this to be a phase. You know what I mean? Like, please don't let this be it, you know, whatever that is. But,
and this is just one of them. You have to do this 5 times.
Yeah.
4 more times.
Yeah. Well, it's easy with Asher. He just wants to be a wild Tarzan.
So eventually, as soon as he's 18, you just let him go. You just drop him off in Amazon.
Just take the leash. We keep him on a leash now, so we'll take the leash off and he'll just run off. He'll run away. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know.
Well, you're about to see how, so you get to do this in Noah, and then you get to do it with your daughter next, which is probably a whole different
It's a whole other
thing, because she's a woman. She's a girl. She's different. She's not a boy. Yeah. So it's going to be a whole different thing. Is that going to be on you, or is that going to be does Vanessa like have a closer relationship to her when it comes to the things that she wants?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think hopefully we both are coming from the same perspective, and I think that's also why it's so important for like my wife and I to have the same vision for our family. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes a husband and a wife have competing visions for their kids. Like, well, I want him to do this. Well, I want him to do this, you know? It's like, well, let's be solidified on what it is. We want him to be able to use the gospel in whatever it is. And we want him to be able to be passionate about it. Yeah. And so our goal now becomes sharing why, hey, this is why the gospel is important to whatever you do, foundation. And then this is why it's important to be passionate about what you do, next level. Go. Yeah. Figure it out, man. And we'll get behind you. And so when it comes to Estella, honestly, it's the same. Hopefully, you know, it's the same thing. Because she's a girl, there's a lot of things that I don't get. I don't know. So I kind of defer to Vanessa, and I'm like, is that like normal for a girl? You know, because like Vanessa will say things that I don't understand. I'll be like, is this like a thing? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, you know, because I'm kind of an idiot. You know,
you're just a man, which is. We're different.
Yeah, some people would say it's one and the same, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that's
Stella's super creative. Like super crazy creative.
She was she seems like she's pretty good at expressing herself, because she was like killing it. I was filming Sea Kids this weekend. Yeah. I was filming a video for the kids, and they were doing like their dances to the worship songs. Yeah. Dude, she knew like every dance, like it was no one's business.
She may be the most creative person I've ever met.
Wow.
I'm not joking.
That's really cool.
She is up in her room, like knitting and sewing and creating stuffed animals for people and drawing. She has right now. She loves short stories. Yeah. And so one of the things I do with our kids almost every night is tell them stories and make up songs, just the dumbest songs.
Oh, I can imagine you made up a song today when we were recording kids videos.
So we have songs about, you know, a land made out of candy. Oh man, yeah. Like an alternate universe where everyone's made of donuts, like things like that, and I just sing these songs to them. Yeah. And anyway, so I've always done that with them. And Stella started writing these short stories, and she has this one. I can't remember the name of it, but it's about this space traveler and his sidekick who's a pickle. And she's got this book, and it's like a whole narrative. It's like, and I stumbled in one day. I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, nothing." I was like, "What is that?" You know, I was like, "What is?" And she's like, and she handed it to me. And it's like this amazing story with these developed characters of this guy who travels to space and meets this intergalactic pickle.
Dude, this is amazing. Your kids are you're raising them the way that like we were raised, where we didn't have phones.
Yeah.
And like stuff like that, because this is like striking. She's gonna be in the design creative world, like
she's crazy,
or an artist in some way. Because this reminds me of, like, I don't want to like toot my own horn, but this reminds me of how my mind worked when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I had books that I wrote about. One of them was called, one of my main characters was Super Diaper Dog.
Yeah,
it was based off Captain Underpants.
Yeah.
But I did like full narrative, like I used to write little mini books, like tons of them about Super Diaper Dog. And then I had a whole series of art drawn of I called them love monsters.
That's awesome.
They were monsters, but they were still like sweet. They still loved people. It was like a full thing.
That's awesome.
I wrote them in my diary.
We need to bring those back.
Yeah, seriously. But anyways, that just I wanted to say that because that literally is the coolest thing to hear. That she's like got full planets of things just created in her mind.
I love
rather than like just doing this constantly.
We don't do phones at our house.
I don't want to either when we have kids. Like, I know it's tough because it's easy to just throw a phone at them and they'll shut up for an hour. But I'd rather throw a book at them and be like, here, draw, like create a world real quick or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, they're not all going to be that way because not all kids' brains work the same.
Yeah.
But that sounds like she's super creative.
And I think like maybe pulling it all together, you know, I think the way that I want to live, and I know the way that my wife wants to live, we want to be authentic, regardless of who we're around, you know? And so, I mean, I know I'm talking to you and you're a Christ follower, but I'd like to say I could have this conversation with somebody who vehemently opposed Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, and that doesn't offend me. It just doesn't. That's not where you are right now. Okay. You know, it's fine. That doesn't change who I am. You know, it doesn't change what I believe. And that also doesn't mean that we can't connect and talk about stuff. And so because authenticity is important, it's not just important, I think, to be authentic from a stage. I think it's more important to be authentic in your house.
Yeah, I agree.
And I say that, and I feel like a hypocrite saying that. Yeah. Like I really do. So I'm not trying to paint some picture of myself as perfect, but I think because your family sees the imperfection. Mm-hmm. And so as a pastor, I have to understand that, like, that's not my primary call.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a husband, I'm a dad, then I'm a pastor.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that.
Yeah. And so with my kids, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, authentically, I think when you have to be, I mean, I think you really have to strive to be authentic in your home if you want those authentic experiences. Mm-hmm. Because, yeah, it'd be easy to give them a phone. And I'm not, like, throwing shade, but, like, it'd be super easy to let your phone be your parent.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like a cheat code.
It is, but it comes with some major ramifications. It knocks off the creativity. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think...
Unless they're using it, unless you only have a drawing app on it that lets those worlds that they make actually, like, be animated, then that's probably a little bit different.
For sure. But, like, if I'm showing somebody who is developing, like, creativity in their brain, and it's done all the creative work for them.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? It's like why? Yeah. Like, now, where is the incentive in them? And I guess you could say, like, oh yeah, well, they might want to go create their own thing. For sure, I get that. I'm just saying, like, my daughter's super creative and she's awesome. So, yeah.
Sweet, dude. Well, cool. Well, I think this has been a fun talk.
Yeah,
I really. We got the longest one so far.
My wife called it. She said, "You're gonna be there forever." She loved to talk, and I was like,
"Yeah, it's probably. Like 10:24 p.m. right now.
Yeah,
while we're recording this.
Yeah."
That's one thing they say in college to never do when you're doing, like, audio stuff. Like, never timestamp it because someone's going to listen to this in 3 years and they'll be like, it was 10:24. You know, I don't care at all. I'll say it's Monday in April. April Fool's Day is today.
Yeah, it is. April Fool's.
And we're making a podcast, so this is all fake. Everything we said has been fake. April Fool's.
Well, thanks for having me on, man. I mean, I think from my perspective, number one, I think you are incredibly talented and gifted, and I would also say anointed in what you're doing. Not just through, in so many mediums, and I think your videography and ALC and what you and your wife do is incredible. But I also, I like to be around people who are equally passionate and authentic, and you're both of those things. I think this is just another outlet for that, and I think it attracts people. I think you attract people to yourself because people see you as real and enjoy hearing your perspective. And so, I don't think that'll ever stop. I'm excited to, be a part of, that story.
Yeah.
Because you can't ever now pull me out of your story.
Nope, never.
Even
You're
if you
in
leave
there.
forever,
You're in a
I'm
very
just
important part of my story.
I'm in there.
You're in there.
I'm in there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate those kind words. That makes me feel, I'm blushing
man.
over here. But thank you so much for coming. You're an incredible leader, pastor, father, friend, everything.
Thanks, man.
Rapper, singer.
Rapper?
Yeah. Everything above. You're awesome, seriously. And I appreciate you giving us some insight on how your brain works. That was good. That's
Cool.
some good stuff you got. So, all right. Thank you, everyone, so much. If you want to find Pastor Travis, where can they find you on the internet?
And the internet?
Yeah,
I'm
I
on
want them to
Instagram.
follow you.
Just
So.
Travis Davenport on Instagram. That's probably the easiest one.
Yeah, follow him on Instagram. You can follow our church, Covenant Church. We go by, like, our branding is COVNT.
COVNT Church.
And it's really cool. So follow us. It's a cool place. And follow Pastor Travis.
Follow me. I'll follow you back.
Yeah, so that was it for episode 5. I'm really enjoying making these. We're going to have Pastor Travis back on eventually, maybe on episode like 115 or something
man, cool.
random like that. I don't know. I'm just kidding. In 115 weeks.
There you go.
Just have it on your schedule. But thank you so much for coming. I love all of you beautiful people. Be ready, because next week I'm not sure who the guest is. So I think that's how I'm going to make all of them. I'm just not going to ever know who it is. And then randomly it'll be this random person.
I like it.
Cool. All right. I love all of you. Have a great night. Peace.